Welcome, gentle listener, to a quiet journey through time. Tonight, we explore the soft shadows of medieval beliefs, the whispered fears and secret strengths tied to the left hand. Settle in, breathe slowly, and let the stories unfold like candlelight in the dark. It begins with the smallest things: a wooden spoon, still damp from the stream, resting in your left hand as you stir the morning gruel. A twig snapped clean for drawing circles in the dirt, guided across the earth by your left fingers. A spindle that spins smoother when your left hand leads. There is no intention to atone the instinct, quiet and soft and unnoticed, until it isn't. At first, the glances are fleeting, like the flicker of candlelight on a rough-hewn wall. A neighbor's eyes pause a moment too long. Your grandmother stops her weaving and clears her throat. The village priest, mild and round-faced, watches you twist a knot with your left hand, then gently suggests you try the other. You are still small, and the world is still wide. You do not yet understand the weight of a hand. The days pass and the rhythm of village life slow, steady, earthy. You help gather kindling from the edge of the woods, where the brambles tug at your woolen sleeves and the scent of moss lingers on your skin. You carry water in glazed clay jugs, careful not to spill a drop on the dirt floor. You knead coarse brown dough beside your mother, the flour puffing into the air like dust from a dream. Always it is your left hand that moves first, faster, more certain, more yours. It is a quiet village, tucked in the gentle bend of a shallow river, where ducks paddle with soft sounds, and the bells from the chapel call everyone to Sunday prayers. The buildings are simple timber and thatch, leaning with the years, smelling of smoke and sweet rot. Chickens scratch in the dirt beside the doors. Laundry sways in the breeze like weary flags. No one is rich here, but no one starves either, at least not in the good seasons. And yet among the rows of faces that know your name, there is a strange stillness whenever your left hand moves. It is not hatred, no one shouts, no one strikes, but it is something else, a tightening, a hush, closing of a door that was not meant to close. They never say it outright, but you start to notice. When someone spills milk, they mutter that it was the left hand's doing. When a child trips in the mud, someone chuckles and says, "It's because he got up left-footed." You hear these things over and over, and they settle into you like rainwater soaking through wool. One morning, your grandmother sits you down with a bowl of soup and watches as you lift the spoon to your mouth with your left. She does not scold, but she sighs, long and slow, and says, "Try with the right, child. It's proper." Her voice is gentle, but her eyes are tired. And for the first time, you feel that you've disappointed someone, though you cannot quite explain how. You try, you really do. You fumble the spoon into your right hand. The grip feels wrong, loose, uncertain. The soup dribbles. You spill a bit on the table, and your grandmother gives you a cloth without a word. In the chapel, during prayers, you notice that people make the sign of the cross with their right hands, without fail. Once, you try it with your left. A small thing, barely seen? But old brother Aldwin catches your eye, and there is a moment, just a moment, when his smile falters. He says nothing, but you don't do it again. The village has rules. Most are never written down or even spoken aloud. They live in glances and gestures, in the way doors are opened and bread is broken. You begin to understand that your left hand, your favorite hand, is not quite welcome here. It is seen, but not trusted. Used, but not praised. Loud, but not embraced. Sometimes you wonder why. Is it dirtier, weaker, cursed? It is none of these things to you. It is simply part of who you are, as natural as your breath or your footsteps. But that doesn't seem to matter. One day you sit beneath the shade of the old willow tree near the river, where the water murmurs softly over stones. You carve shapes into a piece of bark with the little knife triangles, spirals, strange runes you make up as you go. Your left hand moves swiftly, surely. A boy from the village walks past and stops. "You carve with the devil's hand," he says, not cruelly, but with the wide-eyed certainty of someone who's heard the same thing 100 times. Then he walks on, whistling. You stare at your hand. It is just a hand. But now, it feels like something else. That night, as the fire crackles and your family settles in, your mother braids your hair with fingers that move quickly, carefully. She hums an old song, low and sweet. Then she pauses. "When you're older," she says softly, "you'll have to be careful. People fear what they don't understand." She kisses the top of your head, not unkindly, but her voice lingers long after the song fades. And so you begin to teach your right hand. Slowly, clumsily, you stir with it. You write crooked lines with it. You eat with it, even when the spoon shakes a little. You smile when the others nod. But at night, when the candles are blown out and the world is quiet, your left hand moves freely beneath the blankets. It makes small shapes in the air. It remembers. It is the hand of your dreams. The one that draws stars on the ceiling of your thoughts. The one that is still yours, even if the village says otherwise. And in the silence, it moves without shame. You are a child, not yet tall enough to see over the trestle table, but tall enough to be noticed. Your knees are scraped. Your tunic is too short. You have the faint smell of wool and ash and damp straw about you. When you eat, you crouch beside the hearth or perch on a stool, dipping crusts into stew, licking grease from your fingers. It is a quiet life, mostly. A life of goats and bread, of whispers and wooden spoons, of mothers scolding and fathers nodding. It is the kind of life where things are done as they have always been done, and that is comfort enough. But one evening, as the light slants golden through the open shutters, you reach for a piece of rye bread with your left hand. It is a small gesture, careless, innocent. And yet the air seems to change. The room hushes. Your aunt, standing by the basin, makes a sign over her chest. Your mother says your name too sharply. Your uncle mutters, "That's the devil's paw," under his breath, as if spitting out a bit of bone. You look down at your hand as if it has betrayed you. The fingers that clutched dolls and tugged at sleeves now seem suspect. No one explains, not properly. They just begin to notice, begin to correct, begin to watch you when you use that hand. They place the spoon in your right. They nudge your left away from the pot. They tighten your quill into the fingers of the other hand. Frown when your letters slope the wrong way. You do not understand, not fully. You only feel it. The weight of wrongness pressing down on your wrist. And so begins the slow training of the body. A quiet war against instinct. At table, you are struck lightly on the knuckles when you forget. In the field, your older brother mimics you, flapping his arms and calling you cursed. In the chapel, your teacher pulls your elbow back until you switch the candle to the proper side. All around you, the message is soft but clear. Left is not just different, it is dangerous. You hear the stories. They always come. 8. The left hand is the mark of the thief, they say. The sorcerer, the liar.
Out.
Witches stir their potions with the left. Demons beckon with it. The devil himself blesses with that hand, mocking the holy rites. It is said that Judas reached with his left at the Last Supper, and see where that led him. You do not know who Judas is. Not really. But you learn to tremble at his name. Some things you learn without being taught. In the marketplace, coins are never passed left to left. It is bad luck. A transaction cursed. When the priest sprinkles holy water, he does so with his right hand only. When your neighbor buries his dog, he crosses himself with the right and shudders when his daughter forgets and mirrors the motion with her left. Even the bells are rung with the right, as if sound itself obeys the rule of righteousness. And so your left hand becomes a shadow, an afterthought, is tucked behind your back when guests are over. It is kept under the table when bread is shared. You sleep on your right side, just in case the devil should come in the night and see you favor the other. You scrub pots with it and carry kindling, but only when no one watches. When they do, you pretend. You switch. You become two people, the one who is watched and the one who moves freely in secret. You begin to dream of a world where people eat with both hands, where no one minds which one reaches first. You imagine saints who write with their left, monks who paint with it, even kings who lift their swords and bless their armies from the sinister side. It is only in dreams you would not dare say such things aloud. Not here, not now. Not in this village where superstition clings like mist and difference is a kind of sin. And yet quietly there are others. You see them sometimes. A baker who sweeps flour from the bench with his left. A midwife who cuts cord with a left-handed blade. A boy at the edge of the woods who casts stones from his left with uncanny aim. They do not speak of it. They are careful. But you notice. They notice you. And there is something soft and strong in that noticing. A shared silence. A mutual concealment. A flicker of something like defiance. In the stillness of night, when the fire has gone out and the mice begin their rustling behind the wainscoting, you lift your left hand before your face and study it in the moonlight. It looks no different from the right. 5 fingers, smooth palm, a tiny scar from a blackberry thorn. And yet it feels different, not wrong, not cursed, just ... quieter, hidden, as if it carries stories the other does not. You wonder, just for a moment, if perhaps the devil does not own this hand after all. Perhaps it belongs to someone older, someone wilder. A spirit of the forest, maybe, or the moon, or a time before such things were named. But then the rooster crows, and the dreams vanish, and the world returns to its rigid lines and whispered warnings. And you rise with the rest, wash your face in cold water, and learn again, each day, how to be right-handed. The candle flickers, the parchment sighs. Ink darkens along the fibers of the page, spreading like slow water across a thirsty field. You are alone in the scriptorium, save for the sounds of breath and fire, the soft creak of wood, the faint scratching of a goose quill against the vellum. It is quiet work, this copying of words, this slow and sacred transference of thought from mouth to page, from speech to symbol to silence. And you, the scribe, are a humble vessel, a hand, a tool, servant of the word. But your hand, it is the left one. You were trained in secret, as all such scribes are, not in the grand halls of learning, not beneath the gaze of masters, but in a corner by the light of a high window. Taught by an aging monk with a cataract and a gentle heart, who once told you that God made both hands, even if men fear one of them. He taught you to write without smudging the ink, taught you how to angle the page just so, how to pause between strokes so the wetness would not betray you. He told you to keep your gift quiet, told you not to show off, told you that not all truths are welcome truths. You learned quickly. Faster than the others, some said, though they did not know why. Your letters curled with a natural grace, your margins held steady. You copied psalms and psalters and apocrypha with equal care. Your fingers stayed clean, your strokes elegant, but always with the wrong hand. Always in silence. Always in fear. The others, they would not understand. They would see only sin in the slope of your arm, only omen in the angle of your wrist. There is no blessing in a left-handed scribe, they would say. The word should not be copied with the devil's hand, so you hide it. You shift your seat to keep the motion from view. You feign a tremor in your right, say it is old injury, a bite from a mule or a fracture from a fall. They nod, they believe, or they choose to, and the work continues. You have heard the stories they tell, of scribes gone mad who wrote with the left, of books that summoned darkness because the words were made with cursed hands, of pages that blackened on their own, letters that twisted into serpents. It is superstition, you know. But superstition is powerful in these halls of stone and echo. It clings like mildew to the damp corners of thought, like ivy on the minds of cautious men. And yet, in the stillness of your work, you wonder. It's not about curses, but about the power of the hidden, the beauty of what goes unseen. Perhaps the left-handed scribe, unseen and unsanctioned, is precisely the one to capture the quiet mysteries. The soft names of angels that do not appear in sermons, the forgotten lamentations, the half-sung hymns of sorrow. Perhaps your hand, moving against the grain of expectation, finds meanings others miss. Perhaps there is holiness in this hush. The ink stains your wrist faintly, always faintly. It is your only betrayal. When the work is done and your sleeve is rolled back, it marks you. The others think little of it. A smudge, an accident. But you know it is your sign, your shadow, your blessing. You press your fingers to it sometimes in private, as though it were a sacred wound, as though it connects you to something older than doctrine. You have met others like you, here and there, quietly, carefully. A left-handed illuminator in the Low Countries, who painted saints with eyes too wise to be meek. A parchment maker who stretched hides with his left and claimed the skins came smoother for it. A woman in a convent who embroidered only with her left and stitched strange stars into her borders. None of you speak openly, but when your paths cross, you feel a kind of kinship, a soft flicker of shared breath. There is no guild for your kind, no patron saint, no banner. It's only silence and ink, and the soft knowledge that you exist on the edge of things, just left of center. That lies just beyond the sanctioned light. Sometimes you dream of writing a book, not for the abbey, but for the hand itself. A secret book. A left-handed gospel. A scroll of stories unwelcome in the world of rules and rubrics. You imagine pages filled with the truths no one writes down, the fears, the loves, the nights spent wondering if perhaps the devil is only a name for that which cannot be controlled. You would write it with care, with reverence, with the same quill that has written hundreds of sanctioned truths. But you will not write it. Not yet. Perhaps never. The world is not ready, or perhaps it never will be. And so you return to the Psalms, to the line in the margin, to the rhythm of ink and faith. You dip the quill. You let your left hand move with grace and steadiness across the page. You breathe in the scent of vellum and smoke. You feel the fire warm your knuckles, and once again the candle flickers. The parchment sighs. Words arrive. The sun is low, hanging like a great amber flame just above the rolling hills, casting long shadows across the green fields where the clatter of horses and the ringing of steel echo faintly in the distance. You stand among other knights, the leather of your gauntlets creaking softly as you adjust your shield and grip the sword at your side. Your armor is heavy, cold against your skin beneath, but it is your burden and your protection. Forged for the battlefield and the honor it demands, yet your sword hand is not the one your comrades expect. It is your left hand that commands the blade with practiced ease. It's the one that moves with a fluid grace, surprising even yourself at times with its swiftness and strength. The other knights glance sideways, eyebrows raised, their whispers nearly lost in the bustle of preparation. For in this world, to wield your sword with the left is to invite suspicion, a silent mark of difference that can be both curse and advantage. You have learned to carry this difference carefully, like a hidden dagger beneath your cloak. When training, your master urged you to switch, to be right-handed like the rest, his voice sharp as the steel you practiced with. The left hand is a lomond in battle, he said. The enemy expects your right. It will strike your left as weak. But you knew better. You had always known better. In the chaos of a fight, your left-handed strike is a secret weapon. Opponents falter, eyes confused by the unfamiliar angle of your sword. Your shield blocks with the right, steady and true, while your left swings unexpected arcs that crack through defenses and carve space in the fray. There is a rhythm to your movements, a dance older than the kings who send you to war, one born from instinct and quiet defiance. The whispers follow you beyond the training yard, into the taverns where soldiers drink and boast. Some call you sinister, the word meaning left, but loaded with shadows. Others scoff, calling it superstition or jest, but you see the flicker of unease beneath their laughter. It is not just fear of skill, it is fear of difference. And you have felt the weight of it pressed down like a stone in your chest. Yet there is freedom in your difference. When battle calls, you become something else entirely. A blur of left-handed strikes and right-handed defense. You do not simply fight. You confuse, you adapt, you survive. The battlefield does not care for old fears. It demands only strength, cunning, and endurance. Sometimes, in the quiet moments between fights, you trace your fingers over the worn leather of your shield, feeling the slight indentation left by a blow that almost broke through. You think of the stories told around campfires, of knights who bore strange marks, who fought with their left and brought victory where others fell, of champions who defied superstition and carved their names into the stones of history. You wonder if those stories are true, or if they are just the whispers of outcasts, legends forged by those who walk paths not meant for them. You wonder, too, if the world will ever see your left hand as a gift, rather than a sign of bad luck or worse. But such thoughts are dangerous. The world you live in is shaped by old beliefs and old fears, where the left hand is a symbol both of power and peril, a hand to be watched, mistrusted, and often hidden. You know the cost of standing apart. You have paid it in sideways glances, in the tightening of belts, and the hardening of voices. And yet, when the banners fly and the horns sound, you stand tall, your left hand steady and sure on the hilt of your sword. For in that moment, the fear falls away, placed by the simple truth that a hand's worth is measured not by superstition, but by the courage and skill it wields. The sun dips lower, painting the sky with strokes of crimson and gold, and you prepare once more to step into the fray. A knight whose left hand moves with the strength of storms and the silence of shadows, carrying the weight of old fears and the promise of new victories. The stone walls of the small village schoolhouse hold the faint scent of chalk dust and worn wood, mingling with the warmth of a late autumn afternoon that seeps through the narrow windows. You sit on a simple bench, your slate resting on your knees, your fingers clutching a stubby piece of charcoal. Around you, the murmur of children's voices rises and falls, soft as a breeze through dry leaves. The master stands at the front, a stern man with a thin beard and glasses perched on his nose, his eyes sharp beneath heavy brows. You write slowly, your left hand curling the letters with a natural curve that flows like water over stone. The master's gaze lingers a moment too long, his lips tightening in quiet disapproval. "Not so," he says, stepping beside you, voice low but firm. He gently takes your hand, guiding it to the right, repositioning the slate, adjusting your posture with the careful precision of a craftsman shaping his work. "The right hand serves better," he insists, "more proper, more correct." You feel the shift, awkward and strange, as your left hand folds away and your right takes the charcoal. The letters you write suddenly stiffen, angles sharper, flow broken. The rhythm you had known vanishes like mist under the morning sun. Your fingers tremble, unused to the task, your wrist aching where the master's grip lingers too long. You look up, eyes meeting his for a moment, searching for understanding, but find only the weight of tradition pressing down. It is not punishment exactly, nor is it cruelty. It is the world shaping you, molding you into what it expects. The left hand, the sinister hand, the one that carried shadows and ill omens, must be tamed, corrected, made to serve the order of things. You learn quickly that deviation is not tolerated. That difference is a fault to be erased. And so you practice, day after day, forcing your right hand to write, to draw, to do the work your left hand once knew so well. At home, you sneak moments with your left, tracing the curves of letters in the dirt, practicing silently beneath the moon's watchful eye. The left hand remembers what the right forgets. It feels like a secret, a hidden language, whispered between your fingers in the night. You wonder if anyone else carries such a secret, or if you are alone in this quiet struggle. The other children notice. Some laugh, some avoid you. Some whisper that you are cursed or clumsy. You smile faintly, too tired to explain, too wary to argue. The left hand's legacy is one of silence and shadow. To be seen with it is to risk scorn. You dream sometimes of a school where hands are free, where left and right dance together in harmony, where letters flow from whichever finger feels most true, where stories are written not just in ink, but in acceptance. But those dreams are fragile, and daylight always returns with its rules and expectations. And so you learn to hide, to shift, to obey. Yet in the quiet corners of your mind, your left hand remains alive, poised to write stories that the world is not yet ready to hear. The earth is soft beneath your boots, dark and cool from recent rain, the smell of damp soil rising with the morning mist. The fields stretch wide, rolling like waves frozen in place, touched by the tender light of dawn. You stand at the edge of the furrow, hands wrapped around the rough wooden handle of the plow, your breath mingling with the crisp air, your left hand steady where it belongs. The world you know is shaped by the rhythm of seasons, the slow turning of sun and soil, the quiet work of hands that coax life from dirt. Your left hand, once a source of suspicion and whispered fears, has become your strength in this life. It guides the plow with surety, steadies the sickle, cradles the basket full of apples with gentle care. It is the hand that knows the language of the land, the grain's soft bend, the root's silent hunger, the wind's unseen touch. Neighbors might glance with a mix of curiosity and unease when they see you working. Some recall old tales, old warnings about the left hand, that it carries the mark of ill luck or dark magic. But in the fields, where the truth is measured by the earth's yield and the weight of the harvest, such fears are quieted. Here, your left hand is just a hand, strong, skilled, necessary. You remember the stories told by your father and grandfather, of farmers who prayed to the saints with their right hands but plowed with their left, of women who fed their families by the sweat of their left palms, of children who learned to throw stones with the left and never missed their mark. These stories feel like a secret lineage, whispered down through time, a thread of quiet defiance woven into the fabric of everyday life. Your left hand is roughened by work, calloused from gripping tools, stained by earth and sap. It is a hand of endurance and patience, of early mornings and long afternoons, of quiet perseverance. You have learned to love it in a way you never thought possible. It carries not curses, but the legacy of life itself. When the sun climbs higher, you pause at the well to drink, wiping sweat from your brow with the back of your left hand. The water tastes cool and sweet, a brief moment of relief in the endless labor. Children play nearby, their laughter ringing like bells, and you watch them with a gentle smile, hoping the world will be kinder to their left hands than it was to yours. At night, when the fields are dark and the stars wheel slowly overhead, you sit by the hearth, your left hand resting on your knee. You feel the quiet strength in its bones, the stories it holds, the futures it shapes. It is a hand that has weathered storms and droughts, that has sown seeds and harvested hope. It is a hand that knows its place, not because of fear or superstition, but because it is part of you, steady, true, and unyielding. And so, in the soft glow of the firelight, you close your eyes and dream of days when no hand is marked as strange. When left and right are simply the two parts of a whole, dancing together in the endless turning of the earth. The herb wife moves through the morning mist, with a basket on her hip and the scent of crushed leaves on her fingers. She is old now, older than her teeth, with silver hair wound tight like threads of moonlight and feet that know every twist of the path to the meadow. You walk behind her quietly, watching how she stoops with a hum at each wild patch of green, whispering the names of plants the way a mother names her children, softly, reverently, and with care. The village thinks her odd, though they come to her when bellies ache or babies cry too much in the night. Her house smells of wormwood and rosemary, and her windows are always open to the wind. She stirs her mixtures with her left hand, always the left. You've noticed this. It isn't chance. There's a rhythm to it, as though she's following some rule, too old for books, too deep for doctrine. People mutter about it, of course, not with anger, but with that same old wariness that follows anyone who does things differently and seems to know why. She taught you how to dry time on a string above the hearth, how to rub marjoram on your temples when your thoughts won't stop circling. She shows you how to cut nettle with gloves and how to press it into tea to ease the joints. You ask her once why she always stirs with her left hand. She only looks at you and says, "The left hand listens." Then she returns to her mortar, grinding violet petals into dust with the gentle firmness of someone turning sunlight into powder. In her world, the left hand is not feared, it is trusted. It is the hand closest to the heart when you face east in the morning, the hand you don't offer in greeting, but hold back for other work, sacred work, quiet work, the kind that mends without speaking. When the midwife arrives for births, it's this hand, the herb wife nods toward. The one she wants on the mother's brow, the one she wants wrapping the newborn in cloth, a hand for easing, a hand for ushering things into the world. But the priest doesn't visit her house. The church bell rings across the hills, and the sermons come from books too large to carry easily. In those books, the left side is the side of goats and judgment. The sheep go to the right, the blessed are on the right. The Latin root for left is sinister, and though most can't read that word, they know its shape. They see it in her shadow, bent over a row of drying yarrow. They feel it in the way she hums while mixing poultices by lamplight. Even so, they bring her their sick. Even so, they watch for her light at night. One winter, when the cough spread like fire through the thatched roofs, she brews elderberry and horehound, honeyed licorice and cloves. She walks from door to door with her left hand steady on the rim of the pot. The children sleep better. The wheezing quiets. A few mutter that it's unnatural, but the dying stop dying, and no one turns her away. You begin to notice others like her, hidden in plain sight. The old shepherd who counts his flock each night with his left hand pressed to his chest. The washerwoman who wrings cloth always the same way, as if unwinding pain from the fabric. The beekeeper who handles the hives left-handed, saying the bees can tell the difference. Small things, soft things. Unspoken things that mark a different map of the world, one where the left hand is not cursed, only misunderstood. She tells you once, while laying lavender sachets beneath the windowsill to keep out the restless dreams, that many women long ago used their left hands openly, that there were times and places where stirring with the left hand was a sign of wisdom, not wickedness. But times change. People forget. And remembering can be dangerous when the wind is sharp with fear. Still, in her cottage, tucked behind the hedgerow, the left hand holds the ladle, presses the poultice, picks the calendula. It turns the pages of the herbal manuscript she keeps hidden under the floorboard, pages worn thin with love and use. The letters are crooked and strange, some written backward, some looping like vines, but she reads them easily. She teaches you slowly with patience and silence. And you learn to trust your own left hand too, not as something to hide, but as something to guide. And in that trust is something ancient, something older than sermons and softer than superstition. Not everyone understands. Some never will. But the plants don't ask which hand you pick them with. The water doesn't mind which hand scoops it up. The earth, when you dig, doesn't pull you down harder just because you favor the other side. The herb wife grows quieter with the seasons. Her hands shake more. But still, when she mixes her salves and crumbles leaves into bowls, it is always with the left. And when she finally leaves the world quietly, on a warm spring night, the village finds themselves standing silently at her door. No prayers, no bells. It's just a line of people with soft hearts and sore knees, remembering the woman who stirred healing into pots with a hand some had feared, but many had come to love. You inherit her basket. And on the first day of summer, you go into the field, your left hand trailing the tops of the wild grass, listening. In a quiet chamber high beneath the sloping roof of a cloistered workshop, the air smells faintly of beeswax and pigment. Soft light filters through a stained glass window, casting fractured colors across the rough wooden table where your tools lie arranged. Quills, brushes, powders of lapis and cinnabar, and pots of crushed stone waiting to be transformed into color. The world outside moves swiftly, but here time seems to stretch, slow and deep, like the rich hues blending on your palette. You are the artist, the illuminator of manuscripts, the one who breathes life into words with colors drawn from the earth and sky. Your hand moves with deliberate care, each stroke building the delicate wings of an angel. The intricate vines curling around a letter, the shimmering robes of saints and kings. But the hand that guides the brush is your left. For years you have learned to conceal this truth, bending your body and tilting the page so that no one notices the uncommon angle of your strokes. The workshop's other artisans have murmured behind their hands, whispering old superstitions that the left hand is the hand of mischief, the hand of the devil's design. Some have called your art unnatural, accusing you quietly of dark influences. Yet, you know better. Your left hand holds the secret to a different kind of beauty, one that refuses to be constrained by fear and old tales. It is a hand that flows freely, unburdened by the rigid rules that bind others. Where the right hand moves in straight, expected lines, your left hand dances, curves bloom like flowers, colors merge like twilight clouds. At times, your work feels like a quiet rebellion, a whispered defiance painted in gold leaf and azure. You imagine your brush strokes as soft spells cast against the darkness of ignorance and fear. Each flourish, each delicate highlight is a claim that difference can create wonder. What is called sinister can also be sacred. There is solitude in this secret art. Long hours bent over the page, the world outside forgotten, but never fully escaped. Sometimes your left wrist aches, a dull reminder of the effort it takes to hide, to fit into a world made for others. Yet the ache is also a badge of honor, a symbol of persistence. You remember the moment you first understood your left-handedness as a gift rather than a curse. It came not from words, but from the quiet beauty of your own work, a miniature saint whose face seemed to glow with life, painted from your left hand's gentle brush. In that moment, fear melted into pride. The workshop remains hushed as you finish your piece, setting down the brush with care. Outside, the bell tolls for evening prayer. You pause to look through the window at the twilight sky, the colors echoing those on your palette, and for a brief moment, you feel seen not for the hand you hide, but for the soul behind it. When you close your eyes to sleep, your left hand rests lightly on your chest, a silent promise to keep creating, keep defying, keep coloring the world in hues that refuse to be bound by ancient fears. The evening air is cool, carrying the faint scent of wood smoke and lavender across the village rooftops as the sun sinks slowly behind distant hills. Inside a humble cottage, the hearth glows with gentle warmth, shadows flickering softly on walls lined with well-worn tools, simple cloth, and the quiet traces of everyday life. You sit by the fire, your left hand resting in your lap, feeling the subtle pulse of years of stories told and untold, of moments folded gently into time. All your life, this hand has been both a source of wonder and suspicion, a silent companion in a world wary of difference. It has been shaped by old fears whispered in the corners of rooms, by warnings carved into hearts as deeply as wood grain, by traditions that sought to bend it, break it, or hide it away. Yet despite all this, your left hand remains, steady, strong, and true. You think of those who came before you, the child who learned to reach with a hand deemed wrong, the scribe who stained parchment in secret, the midwife whose hidden fingers brought life into the world, the knight whose left strike was both feared and revered. Their stories are threads in the tapestry you carry now, a quiet legacy woven from resilience and quiet defiance. In the village, the old beliefs linger still, like shadows stretching with the fading light. Some still cross themselves when passing left-handed folk, others whisper of curses and misfortune. But there are those who no longer see the left hand as a sign of darkness, who recognize instead the subtle power it holds, the power to adapt, to endure, to create in ways the world often overlooks. You remember moments of tenderness, too, the gentle touch of a mother correcting your hand with care rather than fear, the encouraging nod of a teacher who saw your struggle and chose patience, the silent solidarity of others like you, hands quietly claiming their place in a world slow to understand. These moments are precious, flickers of light in the long night of suspicion. As you sit now, watching the flames dance and fade, you feel a deep calm. Your left hand is no longer just a source of fear or superstition. It is a part of your story, a part of your strength. It carries the echoes of past struggles and the promise of future acceptance. A gentle rebellion written not in words, but in the very movement of life. You close your eyes and imagine a time beyond these old fears, a world where left and right hands move freely, where difference is not a mark of shame, but a note in the harmony of humanity, a world where children learn to write and to work with both hands, where artists and warriors, midwives and scribes, all find their place without fear. And in that quiet hope, you feel the steady pulse beneath your skin, a rhythm older than superstition, stronger than fear. It is the heartbeat of a hand that has weathered centuries, that has held both pain and promise, that has at last found its peace. Your left hand rests gently in your lap, warm and alive, a quiet testament to all that has been and all that is yet to come.